It's no fault of Elvis. He loved the song.
Dolly Parton is known around the world as the queen of country music. She's a global icon and one of the most beloved stars in music history. With her sparkling rhinestones and warm Southern charm, she has won the hearts of millions. But behind that famous smile, Dolly has quietly kept track of those who have wronged her over the years. For decades, she stayed silent. She smiled, she forgave, or at least that's what everyone thought. Now, at 79 years old, it's becoming clear that Dolly Parton never forgot who crossed her. Through interviews, memoirs, and casual remarks, the truth has slowly come to light. Her story is filled with lawsuits, betrayals, and quiet conflicts with people she once trusted. This isn't just about gossip or small disagreements. We're talking about serious lawsuits, backhanded insults, and the kind of cold treatment that even Dolly's famous smile couldn't hide. Here are the stories of the people who challenged the country music legend and how she quietly handled each situation. Porter Wagoner, the mentor who sued her. Porter Wagoner discovered Dolly Parton and helped make her a star, but their relationship ended with him taking her to court. Wagoner wasn't just Dolly's duet partner. He was her gateway to national fame. In 1967, he invited her onto The Porter Wagoner Show, where millions of Americans first heard her voice and saw her star power. Together, they dominated country television and music charts, becoming one of the most recognizable duos in the genre. But behind the bright stage lights, things were more complicated. Wagoner was known for being strong-willed, opinionated, and sometimes possessive of the spotlight. As Dolly's popularity quickly grew beyond his own, his frustration grew too. She was no longer just his student. She had become a rising star in her own right, and she knew it. Dolly wanted more creative freedom. She had solo ambitions and wanted control over her own career. When she made the bold decision to leave the show in 1974, Porter took it personally. He didn't see it as her becoming independent. He saw it as betrayal. Then came the shocking news. In 1979, 5 years after her departure, Porter stunned Nashville and the country music world by filing a $3 million lawsuit against her. He accused her of breaking their contract and demanded a share of her future solo earnings. It was messy, it was public, and for Dolly, it was devastating. She later talked about the emotional damage in her 1994 memoir, describing how he was jealous and controlling. Instead of responding with anger, she responded with a song. I Will Always Love You wasn't just a hit. It was her farewell letter to Porter. On the surface, it was tender and loving, but underneath the lyrics was a quiet but firm message that she was moving on, with or without his blessing. The lawsuit nearly broke her spirit and cast a dark shadow over one of the most important transitions in her career. Even though the two eventually made peace before Porter's death in 2007, the pain from those years never fully went away. Dolly never publicly attacked him, but she never forgot what happened either. Jeff Tweedy, the indie star who dismissed her. Just when Dolly thought that old pain was behind her, another musician took a shot at her work, but this time from the indie rock world. In 2023, Jeff Tweedy, the frontman of Wilco and one of indie rock's most respected figures, was asked during an interview to name a song that didn't move him emotionally. It was supposed to be a lighthearted, casual segment, but what he said next sent shockwaves through the music world. He didn't hesitate. It just never connected with me, he said about I Will Always Love You. The reaction was immediate and intense. This wasn't just any breakup song. It was considered one of the greatest ballads ever written. It was a timeless masterpiece written by Dolly Parton, famously covered by Whitney Houston, and deeply embedded in the hearts of multiple generations. To dismiss it so casually, to suggest it lacked emotional meaning, left fans stunned and angry. Social media exploded with outrage. Country music fans, pop music lovers, and even casual listeners piled on, defending Dolly's legacy with passion. Comment sections filled with personal stories, first dances, funerals, heartbreaks healed by Dolly's lyrics. For many people, Tweedy's comment felt like more than just criticism. It felt like disrespect. Yet Dolly said nothing. She didn't fight back. No angry tweets, no indirect responses. She's never needed to trade insults to make her point. Dolly has always had a different kind of power, the kind that doesn't need to raise its voice to be heard. But even silence can speak volumes. Not long after Tweedy's comment, his next project came and went quietly. No buzz, no chart success, no cultural impact. Fans began to whisper, was it just bad timing, or had he poked the wrong person? Dolly has built her career on taking the high road, but she's not above letting karma do the work for her. The trio that almost fell apart. This wasn't the first time someone tried to downplay Dolly's legacy. Long before Jeff Tweedy, there were friends who became rivals. Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt, and Emmylou Harris were supposed to be a dream team. 3 voices, 3 legends, 1 album. Or so it seemed. Each woman was a powerhouse in her own right. When news of their joint album first surfaced, the excitement in the country and folk music scenes was electric. Their voices blended like magic. Their reputations were solid, and fans couldn't wait to hear what they would create together. But behind the scenes, it was far from easy. The idea for Trio had existed since the late 1970s, but the timing never seemed right. Every time they tried to make it happen, something got in the way. Schedules clashed, record labels became territorial, and creative tensions began to build. Ronstadt was famously careful in the studio, insisting on perfect takes and flawless production. Emmylou Harris was more instinctive, rooted in country tradition and emotional honesty. And Dolly, by then, was a cross-genre superstar juggling blockbuster movie roles, solo albums, and a brand that was rapidly expanding beyond Nashville. Dolly kept any drama private, never complaining publicly, but in later years she offered a rare glimpse behind the scenes, saying, "We had 3 different careers and 3 different ideas, but we loved singing together." That single sentence said everything. There was mutual respect and admiration, but also clear tension and limitations. When Trio finally came out in 1987, it was worth the wait. The album became both a critical and commercial success. It won awards, brought traditional harmonies back to mainstream country music, and reminded the world that women could lead with elegance and strength. Still, despite the success, the project never grew into a lasting partnership. Follow-up albums were slow to come, and reunions were rare. It was clear that the 3 women were being pulled in different directions by their individual careers. For all their vocal harmony, Trio was a brief chapter, not a permanent band. Whitney Houston, and the song that overshadowed her. Just when it seemed like Dolly was finally getting the recognition she deserved, another voice, stronger, younger, and global, took over one of her greatest works. I Will Always Love You became one of the biggest songs of all time, thanks to Whitney Houston's breathtaking, emotionally powerful cover in The Bodyguard. Whitney's version broke records, topped charts worldwide, and introduced the song to a whole new generation. It became a pop culture phenomenon used in movies, commercials, and countless tribute performances. But with all the attention focused on Whitney, something strange began to happen. For a while, people forgot that Dolly had written it. There were whispers in the music industry and quiet speculation. Did Dolly feel erased from her own creation? Was she quietly upset as the spotlight shifted away from her? But if there was any bitterness, Dolly never showed it. When asked how she felt about Whitney's cover, she responded with her typical grace. "I cried when I heard it, but I didn't cry because of the money. I cried because it was so beautifully done." That said, Dolly isn't just emotional, she's smart. She held on to the publishing rights to the song. When a producer once approached her about selling those rights for the movie, she politely declined. Instead, she made millions in royalties and later revealed she used the money to buy a strip mall in Nashville. She handled it her way, quietly, strategically, and without a hint of bitterness. Miley Cyrus, the goddaughter, she let go. Her own way, even family relationships can cause tension, and when your goddaughter becomes one of the most controversial stars in pop music, you're bound to have some things to say. Miley Cyrus has always been bold, wild hair, wild performances, and a career that evolved far beyond Hannah Montana. She didn't just change her Disney image, she completely destroyed it. From controversial award show appearances to provocative music videos, Miley's transformation was anything but subtle. Through it all, fans and tabloids wondered what Dolly Parton thought. After all, she wasn't just a fellow artist, she was Miley's godmother. Some people guessed that Dolly was quietly horrified, that Sinita. He disapproved of the antics, the headlines, and the radical shift from child star to cultural lightning rod. But Dolly, ever the master of grace and control, refused to add fuel to those rumors. "I've told her things only a godmother can say," she said in a 2023 interview, "but I let her be herself." It was classic Dolly, supportive but measured. There was no public fight, no harsh criticism, just gentle guidance, and maybe a little quiet disappointment reading between the lines. Dolly continued to support Miley, even when it wasn't popular or easy. She praised her talent, her independence, and her boldness, even when the world wasn't always ready for it. If there were difficult conversations behind closed doors, they stayed there. The younger star who called her irrelevant. Not every critic stays anonymous. Years ago, during a group discussion, someone said something Dolly would never forget. In the early 2010s, during a televised industry panel, a young up-and-coming country artist, confident and full of attitude, allegedly made a remark that sent a chill through the room. "She hasn't mattered to country radio in 20 years, he supposedly said. The moment was subtle, almost throwaway, but those who were there say the silence that followed was uncomfortable. No one challenged him, no one defended her. The comment just hung in the air. Dolly, always the professional, never addressed it directly. She didn't name names or fire back, but her response came months later, quietly and with precision. That same artist invited her to perform a duet on his national tour, a big show with sold-out crowds and cameras ready. Dolly declined. According to insiders close to her team, the message that got out was clear. Why sing with someone who thinks you're obsolete? There's no confirmed video, no public denial, but the story has lived online for years, whispered in forums, repeat, in interviews, and talked about by fans who know Dolly doesn't forget. The power of Dolly's silence. When Dolly Parton chooses silence, it's never empty. It's a decision, a statement. If this story is true, it means Dolly's silence is sometimes louder than any lyric she's ever written. Dolly Parton may be made of rhinestones and charm, but behind that sparkle is steel. For decades, she gave the world grace, humor, and heart. But now her quiet ways of handling conflicts are becoming public knowledge. Some wounds never fully heal, some voices never stop singing, and some legends never forget. Throughout her long career, Dolly has shown that you don't always need to fight back loudly to make your point. Sometimes, the most powerful response is a carefully chosen silence, a declined invitation, or a song that says everything you need to say without mentioning names. Her ability to handle conflict with grace while never truly forgetting those who wronged her shows why she has remained not just a music legend, but a master of human relationships. She proves that you can be kind and forgiving while still being smart and strategic about protecting yourself and your legacy. These stories reveal that behind the beloved public image is a woman who has navigated decades of industry politics, personal betrayals, and professional challenges with remarkable skill. She may smile and forgive publicly, but she never forgets. And that combination of grace and steel is perhaps what has made her one of the most enduring figures in entertainment history.